In this video, I'm going to show you how to use your vocals like an instrument. You can do it with some plugins like Little Alter Boy, Auto-Tune, and you can do it with things built right into your DAW, such as just a sampler, for instance. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different examples and ways to use your vocals like an instrument, and I'm also going to talk about how you can use it in your own music. Alright, so the first effect we're going to go for is the vocal instrument. You've heard this a million times, and it's a great way to take your vocal and turn it into like a lead synth line. So the easiest way to do this is to go up to your microphone and try to record just a stable note. Here's me trying that. And disclaimer, I am not a singer. That's me trying to stay on pitch. So let's create a MIDI track, and I'm going to just take this sample and drag it to create a sampler. You can do this in any DAW. This is just the Ableton way of doing things. Now that I have this sample here in this sampler, we're going to tighten it down and we're going to try to make it loop. So here I can play it. And I'm just going for where it starts to be on pitch. And what I'm going to do is bring down the end. So I'm just trying to find a spot where I'm most stable in pitch here. You can hear there's some wavering, and I could put auto-tune on it, but I want to just keep it simple. Let's try that. So I'm going to put this loop button on here, and then we'll just basically chop the loop down. So now I'm going to try to cut it down to a 0 crossing point, and that's where the audio is closest to this middle line here. This is so we can get the most stable sounding loop. And I can expand this up so I can see it a little better. So you can still hear it looping here, so I'm just going to actually bring up the fade amount. And it's still kind of wavering a little bit, but I think I like how it sounds actually. Now we kind of have like an organ sound with our voice, and I'm going to put some glide on here and crank it up a bit. And if I put it on portamento here, we can get it to be polyphonic. So now let's put some effects on it. I always start with reverb, and then I put super crazy compression on it. Here in Ableton, we use this OTT setting. I really like how that sounds. And now let's put a melody on this. Here's just a MIDI loop that I have. So now let's go on to the next way we can use our vocal like an instrument. So what I'm going to do here is what I do all the time on any sort of electronic forward, pop production, EDM stuff. Whenever I'm working with a singer and they give me a vocal phrase, I always take it and chop it up to the limit. And here, these tracks are from another video I did about making music that sounds like Fred again. I was really inspired by the way he chops up vocals, so I tried to do it like him. And I got my vocals from my girlfriend. She gave me a few voice memos of her just singing in the shower and stuff. And I took these and I tuned them up and I just chopped them up like crazy, and I made a song out of it. Go check out the other video to see the entire process, but I want to show you it a little bit here. So I started with this voice memo.
I wanna know, if I go, would you go?
Then that turned into me tuning it here, which sounds like this.
I wanna know, if I go, would you go?
Has a little noise on it, has a little auto-tune on it and stuff. So then we went to the next level and I loaded the vocal up into a sampler here in Ableton, and I put it on slice mode. Now, no matter what DAW you're in, I know there's a way you can do some sample slicing, and here I made my own slices and edited them and stuff, and I tried to reconstruct how the vocal sounds and the stuff you're hearing. So you heard that sample, and now after chopping it, it sounds like this. This is the intro to the track. So that's kind of like the intro motif of the track, and then it goes to this pattern here. The way I chop the vocal up, and here if I play a little bit here. So you can completely change the order of words and just create these new melodies that you weren't originally intending for. It's super fun. It brings out the most creativity, and it's just and you're just like randomizing what's happening in your music. It's just super fun to try and brings you new ideas. Then I also chopped the vocal later on the other way to sound like this. It's just all these different ways of using vocals as instrumental motifs and chopping them up. It's really fun. So I encourage you to take some voice memos that you have, take a phrase from Splice or something like that, take a vocal sample and chop it up and slice it. Play it like an instrument. If you have a drum pad, play it like that, or just on the keys too. Now that we're halfway through the video here, I want to stop and ask you, what do you do to your vocals to make them stand out in your music? Is there any certain processing you use, any delays you use, any reverbs you love, any singing techniques that you use to stand out and be unique? Let me know in a comment down below. So this next process is really glitchy. It's like kind of an ambient drone sound. It would almost be great for some sort of sound design, but definitely for electronic forward music, and we can get some really cool, unique sounding effects out of it. All right, so using the same source material as that previous one where I sliced up the vocal into a new type of phrase. So here I have this vocal sample, and let me turn off the warping for you. This is what it originally sounds like. So it's just a quarter note, so quick, this little vocal chop. And this vocal sample is also pitched up by 12, just so you know. And here we can get this really weird drone effect. I used this to make a melody. You have to go check out the other YouTube video to see this full effect, but here's the melody I made out of that. All right, so how do we get from this to this? Let me show you. So this is just this little vocal chop here. I'm going to turn on warping, and here I am. So I have the warping on. I have a warping marker right here, and now I'm just going to take this other marker and just stretch like crazy. And here's the sound we can get. It's just ridiculous. Now I'm doing this in the Complex Pro warping mode. These are all different warping algorithms that try to preserve the audio differently. So if you need to slow down or speed up a piece of music you're working on, it can try to do it. You choose a different mode to try to warp it with the most quality. Complex Pro is normally the algorithm that preserves the most audio quality, and it sounds the best even when you pull things, but even that has a limit, so we're pushing past that limit for a creative effect. We could also use a different warping algorithm like I did in this other version here. Let me put this one away. This is done by using the Beats algorithm. So this is an algorithm normally for drums, and when you try to stretch something like a vocal sound, it just sounds absolutely crazy. So here's what I came out of that. All right, in this next one, we're going to take a really basic vocal chop and turn it into a percussive syncopated delay effect. All I have here is just a chop of my voice. This is just me going into the mic. Just so you can hear it. And this is the processing I have on it. So this is me tuning it just to get it dead flat. If you can sing a flat tone, then you don't need that. And then I'm pitching it up here with little alter boy. This is all I'm doing. Without it, it's like this. I'm just pitching it up. You could do that with another pitching plugin. Compressor to even out the transient. Delay I'm not using. Reverb here, and then I have an EQ just to change the shape and get some high end in the vocal as well. So that's what that sounds like. All right, so what we're gonna do is send our audio to a return track. And you could do this with 2 return tracks. Here in Ableton, I'm gonna do it with an audio effect rack so we can see both delays in the same chain. But other DAWs that don't use this type of routing, you could just use 2 return tracks. All right, so I'm gonna drag an audio effect rack in here. I'm gonna put a delay on it. All right, now I just have 1 delay. Just gonna set it to 4. And here is a delay chain. Now I'm gonna create another chain. So this is just me creating a separate, essentially a separate return track so we can do parallel processing. I'm gonna put another delay on it. And this is the one that's gonna get weird. Let me mute the one for now. and we're just listening to our first delay. Super simple. Let me put the dry wet all the way up, turn the feedback up. Just a simple ping pong delay. Let's go over to our other effect and let's do something weird. I'm going to unlink the left and right, and we're going to do 5 and 6. Just something that is off kilter a little bit. Let me put the dry wet all the way up. And what I'm going to do is use an auto filter to give us some syncopation. So normally it would sound like this. Let me mute the first delay. Now we're going to listen to our second delay. Let me turn the feedback up. You can hear it's just off beat a little bit. Now I'm going to put this auto filter on. You can do this with any type of tremolo effect. And here I'm going to bring down the cutoff. I'm going to put this tremolo effect at a 16th. Let's try that. And let's play this. I'm actually going to turn the ping pong off of the first delay so that it's just going straight down the middle. You could even put a flanger on this second one and change the sound of it and make it evolve over time. Let's hear what that would sound like. So instantly we start to get some syncopation just out of that simple and it's so simple, but that's an easy way to get really cool rhythmic texture in your track. Imagine that below a bed of, say, some sort of funky disco pop type of track or something like that. That would be a really cool effect, and it'd be even better with a good singer. So that's one way to get some cool syncopation in a track. All right, so this last one is a pretty wild, out there effect. It's pretty bizarre. It's a way of doing a vocal guitar solo with auto-tune. And like I said earlier, you've been warned, I'm not a singer at all. I'm just gonna scream incoherently into this microphone and let auto-tune catch everything. Now it's inspired by an artist who isn't doing too well in the limelight right now, but their song is called Runaway. And if you know that song, then you know this part. To do this effect right, you kind of just have to let go of all of your inhibitions and just kind of let loose in this microphone and just sing some wild stuff. I am a little embarrassed to do it here, as I am definitely not a singer, but once auto-tune gets put on it, it sounds pretty sweet. So obviously it's a crazy sound, but if you sing it with the right melody, you can kind of get a guitar solo type of sound. So to get this effect, you first have to sing something absolutely crazy into the mic. I mean, really just let loose. I think that's where auto-tune kind of shines the best when you're talking about auto-tune laden rap and hyper pop kind of sounds. You just have to let loose into the mic and let auto-tune fix all your imperfections in a really weird, futuristic, robotic way. Here I'm using auto-tune for it, but you can use any type of free hard tuning effect. There's Melda Production has a free type of tuning plugin. There's a free one for Ableton in the Max for Live stuff. It's called Auto Tuna, and I use that all the time too. There are free vocal tuning plugins out there outside of Auto-Tune to get this sound. Then I put a saturator on it, just any type of distortion, and that makes a really harsh sound. If I didn't have this filter on it, this is what it would sound like. So I cut it out with some filtering, and then after I filtered it, I also brought the highs back up a little bit just to get a type of resonance I was looking for, especially in that high mid frequency. And then you just need a huge reverb going on afterwards. Like I said, I know it's a crazy sound, but it can be cool for the right genre. So if nothing else, I hope this video at least gave you some inspiration to take your vocals and use them in different ways in your music. More than just singing, more than just doing backing tracks, but using them as an instrument as well. You can do some really crazy stuff with modern tools and chopping up, slicing your vocals, stretching them, pulling them. It's really a playground in your DAW, and I hope this video can help you breathe new life into your music and try some new things. So I really hope you got some use out of these vocal effects. I really wanted to show you different ways you could take your vocals and mangle them, stretch them, pull them, and breathe a new life into your music and just try something new. Yes, maybe you won't use all these effects, but at least I can help show you what is out there and some of the crazy stuff you can do with modern tools and VSTs. Now, if you've been making music for a while, but you need help with some production, I'd love to make a track with you. I specialize in electronic music production for solo artists, and I'd love to work with you and make your next best song. Go to my website at onechannelproductions.com and let's chat about making some music together. Alright guys, I hope this video was interesting and I hope you have a great day. See ya.